Hello there and welcome to the Carpe Diem conversation show where we have conversations with real people who share their real life stories about getting more out of life by integrating work and life as one. My name's Andy Willis and here we are at our very first show for 2020, and what a year it's been. We're just over a month into it and it's been a pretty tumultuous start to the new decade. So for all you people out there that on the East Coast here, or South Coast especially, that have been affected by these dreadful fires, hang in there. And yeah, I urge you, whatever you're doing, to make sure you reach out to your community and get some support, because even for the people that, someone's saying we can't see you guys. Courtney, I hope we can see you. I'll continue on anyway and hope it's just a problem for Courtney and not for all of us. Yeah, for people that haven't, been fortunate not to lose their properties, there's still businesses out there on the South Coast and everywhere that have been severely impacted by the loss of income. So there's help out there, but please make sure you reach out to your people in your community for support, and vice versa. Make sure you're supporting the people that need help. Please take the time to ask people if they're okay. Okay, tonight's show, we have our first guest for 2020, who happens to be someone from my hometown of Tathra. Ironically, I'm actually not in Tathra today. I'm up here in Wollongong, traveling at the moment, and at my daughter's place. And Wendy Bergsma is our special guest. Sorry, I'm just looking at messages that are coming to me because people can't see us. So I'm just going to check it. Oh, it's coming up as blank. If anyone else is out there can say whether they can see or hear us, that'd be awesome. Just put it in the comments there. And I'll carry on regardless, as though it really is working. Wendy is a national award-winning building designer who has a passion for fabulous, energy-efficient design and great experience in designing and building bushfire prone areas, which is, of course, is quite topical at the moment. Wendy also has a passion for work-life balance and combining her love of ocean swimming, bushwalks, and socialising with her passion for house design. So without further ado, let's bring Wendy into the studio. Hey Wendy, how you going?
Hello, hi Andy, how are you?
Now we seem to have some technical issues. Thank you to my daughter, who's keeping me up to date, who's also a StreamYard expert, and she tells me it's all fine now. So awesome. Thank you, Corks, for keeping us informed. Okay, here we are. First show for 2020. You're in Tathra and I'm here in Wollongong. How's things in Tathra today?
Actually, we've had clear skies today, which has been really, really nice. It's been a long time since we've had clear skies. Yeah. And the water is starting to clear up a little bit as well. So all good, all good.
All good. All we need now is those clear skies to turn to cloudy skies and rain. They're promising us over the weekend. So let's
rain would be insane at this point in time.
We'd all be very happy to not be able to go to the beach because it's too wet.
Yes, exactly right. Oh, we swim in the rain anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter. Awesome. Okay, Wendy, I don't know your full backstory, which is good because we can share it and I can find out about it at the same time. Tell us a bit about Wendy Bergsma.
Oh boy, where do you want me to start? Do you want me to go way back in the day or just in the recent times?
We have 30 minutes, so you can go back as far as 30 minutes takes you.
Okay, so from a professional point of view, I've been a building designer now for probably about the last 7 or 8 years. Before that, I was a property developer. So I worked for about 7 or 8, 9 years for myself, doing property developing, so buying properties, renting them out, renovating, doing subdivisions, doing all sorts of deals with property. But I also worked full-time in amongst all of that. So my last full-time employed position there where I worked for somebody else was in Albany, Western Australia. And I worked for the City of Albany, and I was a project manager where I project managed the renovation or the upgrade of their swimming pool and gym facilities and things like that. So a major big construction project. So it's interesting. I have a background. My degree is in recreation management. So that's what I started back when I finished high school. And to have a degree in recreation management and then have a building background, which came later in life, to get a job project managing the construction of a leisure centre. I had the right skills for it.
So what's a recreation
degree?
Degree, yeah. What does that do? Does that mean you're just good at having fun, or
no. It's very much along the lines of working in leisure centres, working in, let's just say, you know, all the hiking companies that go out and do you know, like, I don't know. What did I do? I worked for the National Association on Intellectual Disability, and I worked on a big national project on integration for people with intellectual disabilities into standard regular recreation programs in their communities.
Oh, wow.
So that was a long time ago.
And that's quite diverse from what you're doing now. And then you moved to redeveloping the swimming centre.
Yes. So there's a lot happened in between that. So I did my degree in recreation management. I then went in and did that professional role for more than 2 years. Travelled the country. I talked at many conferences and workshops and things in this for the National Association on Intellectual Disability. Then I actually went into conference coordinating, and I worked for many years in conference coordinating. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And then from there, I got married. I started having children. I worked for myself when my children were young. I had a business where I made personalised stationery. Back in the day before we had the internet, you know, I'd get the printer out and I'd print stationery. I made little boxes and I sold that. And I was not a very good mum at the time. I just let my kids play around my feet. And then what did I do from there? I then we moved to Canberra. So my husband was in the army, so we moved around a lot. And we came to Canberra, and I actually worked in Parliament House as a guide in Parliament House, Australia's National Parliament House. And I absolutely loved that job, loved it. But then we went into property developing.
Okay.
So my husband stayed in the army and I went out there, and my dad was a painter and decorator. I've always had a passion for design. I used to draw house plans when I was a little kid. So.
Wow. It's sort of destiny then.
It definitely, and it's really interesting, Andy. I finally worked out what I wanted to do when I grew up at 50. And I'm now turning 59, and I've been doing building design basically since I was 50. And the passion is absolutely there.
That's fantastic. And that just proves it's never too late to actually find what's you. I'm doing that exactly now. And it's funny too, I used to, my business, I was in previous business for 17 years was conference and event management.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it too.
So did I. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I don't know why I moved away from that. It was just circumstance in life and opportunity. And it's really interesting, Andy, how life, all the experience you gain in life, all the experience. And, you know, right at the moment, interestingly enough, I never sort of put myself up there as an expert in bushfire building. construction design. But given the life experiences I've had, I've lived through 2 major fire events now, unfortunately, and I've started to become very much well-versed in bushfire construction and bushfire design, and it's life experience that brings you through to that end. So
yeah, and that's interesting, and that's important in giving yourself the opportunity with that life experience to actually step away from, being stuck in the one place all the time, which is you've done. You've gravitated to what your passion was when you were a child.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and putting yourself out there in the life. Similar things happened to me as when I started going to the French Alps, for 1 month and then 2 months and then 3 months, and some of the things that I experienced and learned over there, I could never have planned. It just happens. Life happens if you are open to the opportunities. So that's awesome.
Totally agree. You really have to choose your opportunities, put it out there, choose what you would like, and keep choosing and let it all happen. It'll happen.
Yeah. Just a reminder to the people that are watching out there, I forgot to mention it at the beginning because this is the first show for the year, is if you have any questions, this is a conversation. We'd love you to join this conversation. Courtney's good because she's put a couple of comments in there, a couple of comments. Please add a comment, ask a question. Don't leave it to the end. We're happy to answer them as we go. So please ask away. So, challenges through this period. So you did spend a bit of time where you're working in a place, and now did you then move to working flexibly?
Sorry, you're breaking up there a bit, Andy. I didn't hear your question. I've lost you. I can't hear you.
I'll unmute myself.
Oh, now I can hear you again.
Sorry, did we mute it? No. It's fun for the first.
I can hear you, but it's all breaking up.
All right, I'll try and move this closer. How about that?
Go for it and see if I can understand your question.
Okay, that's what live's all about.
That's right.
Now I'm going to get back on track. So you moved from a job which was in Albany where you had to go to a place to work, but now since then you're working flexibly all the time?
Yes, absolutely. I work for myself now, and by choice I work with clients. I choose clients, and I'm very fortunate that I can now, in my position now, I can choose the clients I want to work with, and I choose when I work. So I'll happily work on the weekend if I've got nothing else happening on the weekend. But my big passion is I swim every morning in the ocean, and the ocean swimmers go at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was really hard for me to get my head around going at 8 o'clock in the morning, because 8 o'clock in the morning is like, you got to hang around waiting all morning for 8 o'clock in the morning when you wake up at 5 in the morning or 5:30. But what I do now is I'll wake up, and it's taken me a while to get into this routine, but I'll wake up and I may work for an hour and a half, or I may do other things. I might do the housework. I might lay in bed and do nothing. But I always swim at 8 o'clock, have coffee, maybe go and do a walk, have another coffee with friends. This morning, for example, I did not start in the office till 11 o'clock. And when I say the office, I'm talking about the chat chair I'm sitting in right now. All of my work is done on a laptop. So my office is basically, when I run out of power, I run to where the next power outlet is. And if not, I'm sitting on a lounge somewhere with amazing views, and I just work. It's really interesting what I do find, the huge difference from working in an office to working when you work for yourself at home. You don't get caught up in all the chit-chat in the office. So you end up working, seriously, when I'm in the zone, what I've done, so I probably worked till about 4:30 this afternoon. I would have easily have done more than somebody did in an office that was there from 7 in the morning till 6 at night.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting interrupted.
And that's the big thing that a lot of, in particular, employers don't see, because a lot of people think that, if I let my team work at home, they'll get distracted, they'll do the ironing or they'll watch TV. But they're already having those chit-chats, which take up so much of your time, distractions, and we all know once you get distracted, to get going again, it's really difficult. So
Absolutely. Sometimes I actually have to force myself away and realise, well, it's been a good hour and a half before I've actually sat, got up and had a drink of water, or, just walked around the house for 5-10 minutes, And if I get a bit of a brain, I sometimes go, oh, I've had enough of this, but I'll get up and I'll go for a walk for half an hour. Go up in the bush, go for a walk, come back, and your mind's clear as a bell, straight back into it, and you get back into it again. It's wonderful. You have to be disciplined, absolutely, but I suppose if you're doing something you absolutely passionately love, it's really not that hard.
Yeah, what you've brought up there is something I preach as well, and that is actually doing something like, or standing in front of a computer, or sitting in front of a computer. I stand because I've got a stand-up desk. Is not necessarily working. If you're there and you've got a brain block and you're tired, you're not getting anything done. I do the same. I get like that. I go down the beach and walk for half an hour, and you actually get more done on the beach because you solve the problems you couldn't solve in front of your computer, and you come up with new ideas.
Absolutely. Go for a walk up in the bush, go down to the beach, go in the ocean, put your head under the water, whatever it is you need to do. And I suppose when you're working in an office, that's probably not as easy. Although I must admit, one of the jobs I had as a conference coordinator many, many, many years ago was up on the Gold Coast, and I made time every single lunchtime, no matter what. Yeah. I would take off, I'd go down to the change room, change out of my uniform, put my walking clothes on, I'd go up and down the beach every day, come back. That would be my lunch hour. I'd eat at my desk because you just eat when you eat. But my lunch hour, I went out and I walked and got that mind clear and got moving.
And Courtney said there, don't forget your neck stretches too, which is important. When you're working, and that's what people do. They get stuck just working and forget to stop and have that break and stretch that neck. And for someone that's had a neck operation, yes, do not forget your neck stretches.
Yeah, I find I'm a left-handed person, and I do CAD work with a trackpad and on a laptop, and I find my left arm starts to get really sore.
Yeah, and the biggest challenge that people have with this, and this is a bit of a mindset thing that gets discussed at our Carpe Diem retreats, especially on their program, and that is the guilt thing. People feel guilty, like, oh no, I can't go for a walk for half an hour. I need to be working because that's not working. Whereas, it's getting through that. What we've been absolutely conditioned to work in these blocks, and 9 to 5, say, and that's work, instead of giving yourself permission, getting over the guilt and just going to walk and calling it work.
This is the thing, Andy. The word guilt. I mean, people carry way too much of that around. Absolutely. You are doing such more productive work if you can take the time out to clear your head, to exercise. Like obviously you talked about at the beginning of this whole thing about the last month we've had, and the last month's been tumultuously difficult. Especially living here on the coast, and especially being on high alert. And my husband's out fighting fires, and he's going out and doing night shifts, and you're not sleeping, and you're worrying, and all of this sort of stuff. And, your mental health is really, really important.
Yeah.
And I find when I'm really struggling with mental health, get out, do some exercise, walk, swim, ride your bike. And don't feel guilty about it. You have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's whatever works for you, and whether that's walking, whether it's riding. I actually headed out. I had plenty of work to do yesterday afternoon. But about 4 o'clock, I said, no, I've had enough. And I hopped out on the bike and went for a long ride. And it just makes you feel so good. And but it's important. It's it's not just your physical health, it's your mental
and also,
health.
Andy, tomorrow is another day, and all that work will wait till tomorrow. You know, if you haven't got it done today, it's okay. Get it done first thing tomorrow morning. It's okay.
And that's what I'm trying to educate people with, and talking to people like yourself really helps get this message out. And hi, Jenny, how are you going? She's joined us from Eden. And Jenny says, sorry, I'm late. She was out having a bike ride. Good girl, Jenny. Out exercising that brand new knee that she has. Fantastic. Good for your mental health.
She's on an e-bike, Andy.
Yeah, she's on an e-bike. Yep.
She is good. Good. The best thing to do.
Okay, and the other thing around this same thing, which you said something that's really key as well, and that is you choose when you work, and and the other thing we've been conditioned to do is work Monday to Friday and have the weekend off. And if we do that all the time and the weekend's raining, then we get to go to the beach or not go to the beach when it's raining. I'm the same. I worked last weekend, but then I might have Tuesday off or whatever. It's another guilt, permission, conditioning thing. But did you find that a challenge to start with? Was that something you learned, or is it come later, or?
As far as the choice and working,
changing the routine, where you
certainly this has been in the last few years. Certainly, before that, I felt that your worth was all about going to work and what you're doing for work. But I certainly know that I certainly function better, perform better, have a better career because I am looking after myself personally. Women especially have to be very, very careful not to put everybody else first. And I say this to so many people, how can you look after everybody else if you do not look after yourself first?
Yes,
you have to put yourself number one. You have to look after yourself, and don't see that as a guilty thing. Don't see that as a selfish thing. Because if you want to help do things for other people, or do things for your business, or do things for your family, or for your children, or whatever, you've got to look after you number one and be the best that you can be for yourself personally.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, the work will be there tomorrow. Carpe Diem, seize the day.
Absolutely.
We all know I live by that, and that's exactly, tomorrow's not, we're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. So the best time we can have is whatever's happening right now.
Yeah. And love the people around you, and care for the people around you, and connection every single day. It's like I have a real mantra that every single day I want to be out and connect with community somewhere, somehow. And that be a conversation with somebody outside of the home. I'm every single day make sure that I'm out and doing something in the community.
Yeah, and Connie says you can't pour from an empty cup. There you go.
That's very profound. Very, very profound.
Yeah, absolutely. And I must say that's one challenge I've had, when you do, because I work from home as well, and sometimes it's easy to actually get stuck just being there, and that's why I actually make a point of actually going to work at a cafe for a different environment, the opportunity to bump into people. And it doesn't matter if they stop you from working, because it's about connecting.
Connection. And we're so fortunate in the beautiful town like Tathra that we're in. There is plenty of cafes we can go down. Everyone knows everyone. You'll sit there, you'll chat to somebody, and you have some really nice conversations with people. Have people you haven't seen for a while, or you'll meet someone new, and it's really lovely.
And often, very often, I found that because you're out there and you've found, you might meet a stranger. I've made connections that actually have turned into opportunities.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
you wouldn't know about. You don't mean to. And that's why I say to any of you guys in traditional business out there that are tuned in or watching this replay, any of your employers that are out there, think about stepping away from your business on a regular basis. Even if that's just to go and have coffee with someone from another business, or going to have a coffee with yourself with a computer and just sit in there and connecting, putting yourself out there to actually have the opportunity to connect away from the chit chat and interruptions at work. It's absolutely worth doing.
Absolutely, totally. It's not hard. I think you and I met just from heading down to the cafes and we were on the beach. I think we met. I can't remember what it was, but it's definitely that local connection in Tathra.
Yeah, that's right. And you can connect wherever you are too. Courtney has her own Facebook live show. I don't know how she does it, but Courtney's Facebook live show starts at 8 o'clock and she always joins this one. And she runs quite a complex trivia night, and she just pops from this to that. So thanks, Corks. She's my daughter, by the way. So what advice? So any other challenges you've found transitioning into that way of life? Or
no.
Any advice you'd like to offer the people out there that are maybe stuck on the treadmill, maybe stuck within those four walls? Anything you can offer?
Yeah, look, I think really it comes down to a financial question. I've got to be very careful saying what I'm going to say. People think that they've got to have, an amazing superannuation, an amazing amount of finances before they can stop their job and work for themselves as such. You really don't need to. Like, we don't need all the finances in the world to choose to live a lifestyle that is a work-life balance, if you like.
Yeah.
You can get off the treadmill. It's not that hard to get off the treadmill. Take the risk and make the choice to do it. Believe in yourself and believe it will happen. And it's okay. You don't need all the finer things in life. I tell you what, when you don't work, there's no fuel to go to work. You're not having to wear, buy uniforms or clothing to go to work. You're not eating out all the time. Just all those little things like that. So as I said, I'm careful saying things like that because people get very wedded to their regular income coming in the door.
Yeah, the best income you can get is something called life. And if you're spending all of that life creating income, yeah. But that's fantastic.
Point?
Yeah, ask yourself why. Fantastic advice, Wendy.
I hope I haven't been too controversial there.
Not at all. That's exactly you're playing my tune there. No, fantastic advice. And don't be afraid to share it. Hopefully it will help someone. So fantastic. Thank you so much. I think I was going to ask you, we might touch on it just before we finish. Tell me, and it's sort of at the opposite end of when we should have touched this, but I'm interested when you say you're expert in building in bushfire prone areas. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, golly, you've just opened a can of worms, Andy.
I thought I might have. It's just very topical at the moment.
It is very, very topical at the moment.
Just summarised it in a couple of
Summarising in a couple of, all the houses that have been burnt down. There's been more than 400 in the Bega Valley in the last month, and many, many more in the Eurobodalla Shire, and many, many more. A lot of those homes may not even be in a bushfire-prone area and may not have to build to the current bushfire codes. If you are mapped in a bushfire-prone area, and then you can look on the New South Wales planning to see whether you're mapped in a bushfire-prone area, then you need to build in a bushfire to the building codes to the bushfire regulations, and there's a lot of different levels as to how you're meant to build your home. It's learning about those sorts of things. You can certainly do very, very good design in bushfire prone areas, and I think the thing is we've got to remember not just to get a regular house and try and get it to match the bushfire codes, but let's build to the conditions of the bush that you're choosing to live in. And I certainly believe if you choose to live in the bush, and I choose to live in the bush, I back right onto the bush. If you choose to live in those areas, you can do good design and you can build your homes that will hopefully, I don't think a home's ever going to be immune to completely burning down given the right conditions. But we can certainly build to a standard that will help us remain safe in our homes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, I didn't mean to finish on that note, but then we did. So if people did need some help with that design, where can they find you?
Hop on my website, dreamdesignbuild.com.au, and give me a call, give me an email. I've got an email just recently. I've been in the press a little bit lately and on bushfire and construction and building with all my experience. And, people just contact me through my website, dreamdesignbuild.com.au.
dreamdesignbuild.com.au, and I'll add that into the comments or onto this at some point. Thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us. Sorry about a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got there at the end, and I really enjoyed our chat and looking forward to coming back and seeing you down the beach.
Okay, I'll look forward to seeing you on the beach when the waves are good.
Yeah, that's right. We need a bit more swell at the moment. Thank you to everyone in the audience that's joined us. If you're watching this as a replay, thank you for watching this replay right here. And as always, guys, I urge you to Carpe Diem, or seize the day every single day. Until next week, Carpe Diem.
Bye. Bye.